Hello, hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all of the listeners and viewers on Swag Her. Today, listen, we are getting ready to find out what is going on with Miss Dawn Michelle Hardy, the literary lobbyist. I am excited about this interview. I am your host, HB. I'm the host of the Gossip Podcast, the business strategist, as well as the life restoration coach. And I'm getting ready to interview Miss Dawn Michelle Hardy. I'm excited about this interview. I'm excited to find out what's going on with her. And before we get into the interview, I just want to go ahead and share this live. And as you come on, go ahead and share on your pages. Let me go ahead and share a few seconds, and then I'm going to get ready to bring her on so she can introduce herself to us, because it's nothing like being introduced by someone else versus you telling us who you are. So let's go ahead and bring her on. I've already share, tag, and let's get the interview started. Hello, hello, hello. How are you?
Hi, Heidi. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Do you okay? So
Nice.
you go by Heidi or HB? Heidi,
HB.
HB. Okay,
HB,
got it.
yes.
Okay, I got
That's fine.
got
Heidi is
you, HB.
fine. Either way you want to call me, I don't mind, but
But
I do, go by HB. It's my first
got
and
it.
last name. Heidi Brown is my name. So
Okay,
but it doesn't matter. So glad to have you on
thank
today
you.
on what's going on. We're looking forward to finding out what's going on in your life. And we're looking forward to this interview to talk to the lobbyists. Okay. Listen, the literary lobbyist. I love that. I love that title. We're going to ask you more about that shortly, but I want you to introduce yourself to us, your listening, our audience. And if you would like, you can go ahead and share as well. Share this on your pages as well, so that we can get your audience in to find
Okay,
more out about you. But
okay.
introduce yourself to us.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dawn Michelle Hardy, and I am known as the Literary Lobbyist. I've been in book publishing for the last 22 years. The first two, I was working as an assistant to the author Terry Woods, author of True to the Game. And then after that, I started my own book publicity PR agency, and I've been doing that for the last 20 years. So advocating for BIPOC authors before it was keywords in a Google search. Like I've been advocating for people of color who wrote books for 2 decades now. And so this year will be my actual 20th anniversary in December. And I love the work. It's promising. And I'm grateful to be a part of bringing so many amazing books to the world.
Great, great,
Mhm.
great, great, great. Listen, so I want to know just a little bit more, like, how did you become, or how did you, coin yourself as the literary lobbyist? Like, how did that all come about?
Yeah, so in 2013, so Ebony Magazine, on their digital site, they had a section called Cool Jobs, where they kind of just basically profile people who did non-traditional jobs and just, it was a Q&A. They asked them about it. So I was interviewed for that. And so the writer who put my feature together, he described me as the literary lobbyist because at that time I was doing book publicity, which is what my agency was, but I was also a literary agent under Serendipity Literary Agent Agency at the time. So I was able to get people book deals. And then I work with self-published authors as a consultant. So between the three, publicist, literary agent, and self-publishing consultant, he basically said that I'm advocating for authors and their work at every phase of the publishing process. And so he gave me the title, The Literary Lobbyist. And then I had a friend who worked in branding, and she was like, oh my God, I love that name. You
Yes.
should use it as your brand name. We rebranded, changed the website and everything, changed the company name. And I've been the literary lobbyist ever since.
That's pretty cool. It is a cool, job. Sometimes people limit themselves, but that is something unique, and it's like your own. Like, you don't
Yeah.
hear that from a lot of people, so that's good.
And then the
So
thing is,
as
the industry, HB, the industry that I'm in, now they're working to get more people of color, but I've been in this industry since 2002. And so there weren't a lot of like Black men or women that were actually doing book publicity or that were literary agents. And so I've carved out a niche for myself.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Making a niche for yourself, a lane
Hmm.
of your own that you can dominate. And
Yeah.
basically that's what's it about, is dominating your lane, make creating that lane and you being able to dominate in it. So I love
Yeah.
that. I definitely love that. So as a publicist, what are some best practices? Because I know each and every person who's written a book, even myself included, I'm getting ready. I'm actually at the end of my book, and one of my first published piece, and well, piece that I'm about to publish.
Mhm.
And I am definitely interested in knowing, the answer to this question. And what is the best practices for landing a book deal?
So are you like, so okay, so let's use you as an example. So for your project, is it fiction or nonfiction, poetry? What's your category?
Well, this is pretty much my life, like short stories of
Okay.
like more of a memoir, but broken down in short
Into short
stories.
stories. Okay.
Right.
So one of the things, and I used to say this all the time, like when I was a literary agent, if a person is looking to get a traditional deal, which means you want a literary agent who then turns around and sells your work to like a HarperCollins, Simon and Schuster, um, it helps to have a public platform in the space that your book is going to talk about. So let's say if you were doing diversity, equity, inclusion, then it would be helpful that your career, that you're already working in that space and people already know you for that work. Because then when you come on the scene saying, oh, I have a new book coming out and it's about diversity, equity, inclusion, the people that have been working with you, hiring you, consulting with you throughout your career are going to be some of the first people to buy into your book. And so what if you're doing fiction, nonfiction, poetry, you want to just build a platform for yourself if you want to get a traditional deal because it's so competitive. So let's say if you and I both were writing memoirs or both just writing books about the publishing industry, a publisher has to say both of them have great writing, both of them have a good book idea. The third category is, well, which one of them is already connected to the audience that would buy the book?
Mm,
Who is
right.
who is already in the room talking about it and they just don't have a book to sell at the back, because that's where the publisher comes in. It's like, well, Dawn is doing 10 to 15 speaking engagements at writing conferences a year and she doesn't have a book. And that would be a reason my platform is that I'm already speaking to these individuals, but when I walk away, there's no book. And so a publisher sees that as an opportunity. She's going to do 20 speaking engagements next year. We need to help her put a book out because that's a good
Right.
business opportunity for them. So good writing, a good story idea, and then a platform where you're already engaged with the audience that you want to buy your book. So if you're writing a collection of short stories or a memoir and it speaks to Black women, how are you doing the work that you do here with Swag Her, the work that you do within your ministry? Those are Black women that you're already communicating with. The larger that number is, the better it is for publishers and literary agents to decide if they want to work with you, because you become the third partner. It's the
Right.
agent, the author, and now the two of you together are going to go and find a publisher that will then support and purchase your book.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Look, see,
Yeah.
getting gems. Y'all write these gems down because there's a lot of people that I know that watch this page, Swag Her, that are
Okay.
people that are engaged on this page that have a journey of their own, that have a business of their own, and we all should be having a book to go along with our story.
Absolutely.
However, we become who we are.
Absolutely.
There's a book in probably all of us, honestly. Just the things
There
that we
is.
experience, right? Just the things that we've experienced. So another question on this is more me. This is more because I know my first work is going to probably be self-published. It's
Okay.
like
Okay.
that's
That's fine.
the the mandate for this first work. But I have another one that I'm going to be writing right behind it. But this question is one that I as a publicist, what are some of the best practices outside of the building up the community, like you said, having already a platform, but what are some of the best practices of promoting? Like I would love to do a book tour. So
Okay.
what are some other ways of promoting your book?
Okay. So even with that, so I've worked with a lot of self-published authors. Like I shared in my introduction, I started out working with Terry Woods, who was self-published at the
Yes.
time. So she started a small company and I was like her assistant and pretty much helped her with any and everything. The first thing, because this is something I always see that authors do when you self-publish, put your assets together. You want to make sure that when someone says, HB, so tell me what your book is about, that you have 3 to 4 sentences, 2 paragraphs. I like to have a short version and a long version of explaining what your book is about, and that is edited and written well. But a simple fact that that's a question that you're going to have to answer throughout the
Okay.
lifetime that you're promoting your book. So whether you get on CNN, Good Morning America, if you do an interview on Swag Her with the community, or you're at a speaking engagement or a book festival, you're always going to have to answer the question, what is your book about? And so I always tell authors, be prepared to answer that verbally, but also have a well-written description. You want to have good quality photos. I worked with a woman once who was amazing, wonderful. She had no good headshots. And you don't have to spend a lot of money, but selfies in a dark lit space where your face is greasy, I can't use that in my publicity materials. I can't use that. So, girl, you laughing. I'm gonna email
Right.
you a photo. so,
Right. I know exactly what you mean.
so so you want to make sure you have a good cover. You want to have good, clean headshots because again, those are the images that are going to follow you. So if you did a Google search, every time your name comes up, people are going to see that publicity photo and your book cover and the synopsis of what the book is about. So you want to make sure that those things are tight because once they go up on the internet,
That's
they're
it.
there. And then if you want to work with a publicist, you got to think to yourself, for me personally, I don't separate my self-published authors from my traditionally published authors. If I'm working with someone who chooses to go the independent route, then my job is to help make sure that their content looks as crisp as the people who are getting published with HarperCollins, Dutton, and Macmillan, because a journalist shouldn't be able to look at the table and say, "Oh, HB's book is self-published."
Right.
They shouldn't be able to see that. And so I work to make sure that the assets are good. So you want to make sure you have strong assets, and then from there you can actually begin to pitch yourself. Another simple thing is just making sure that all of your social media actually says that you have a book coming out.
Come
I
on.
can probably go through right now my clients and look on their social media. They all have in their bio on every single social media platform that they are the author of said book. If the book is not out yet, then it says when the book is coming out. And if it's out, then it just says that. You want to change all of your social media headings to an image that includes your book cover. So it still can be an image of you, but you want to have your book cover in there as well. So a lot of promotional assets before you can even start pitching, bio, a good book description, great photos, a strong book cover image. You need those because you'll use those every single time you do an interview. You're going to use those items every single time, no matter how big or small the interview. Those 4 things you use every single time.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. Good information. And I'll have
Mhm.
another question being that you said that. So,
Yeah.
when you are promoting, like, like I know you said, uh, like for a person like me, I have many things that I do. Like, so, um, like promoting my book, would you say to a person that like on social media and they're promoting a book, of course I will promote it on my personal pages, but would you
Yes.
think that the book itself should have a platform of its own or just um
No, no,
mhm.
because
Okay.
you are because here's the so my approach, and again, there are publicists that work in-house or other independent publicists, that may have a different take on this. But my thing has always been if you HB are writing one book, but you know that you want to write another one at some point in time in your life,
Mm-hmm.
then the lead is really about you
You
because 2 years from now, the book is going to be different. So
right.
you don't necessarily need to have a website for mybook.com. HB needs to have a website. And then there's a tab on that website for book number 1. And as long as you have a website, then there could be a tab for book number 2. But
Right.
you don't want to have to build out a different website for book 1 and then book 2. The common denominator is the author. And so I would say authors need their domain should really be their name and their brand name, and then they could just add a tab for the new book. And
Right.
again,
Right.
that's for somebody if you're going to do more than one. And all of my traditionally published authors, and even some that started self-published who are now with traditionally published, they now have traditional deals. They all have the website is always after their name, and then when you go there, you can click and see the different books that they've written over the years. So yes,
Right.
I definitely think you need to lead with yourself because the book is going to change.
Right. And that's just like with how, multiple, like I do multiple things. I just asked that question for someone that's, may need to know, because a lot of times
Yeah,
people, they veer off, even in business, they veer off into something else, but then they are producing multiple things, and it's like it's going to continue to change, and all
yeah.
these platforms are hard to hard to regulate together.
It is. You got to use something like Hootsuite or one of those platforms where you can actually like schedule stuff. But
Right.
again, I always say like if you just take like a Word document or a Google Doc and write down your bio information, your book description, your social media tags, your website, and just have that document always at the ready, then really all you're doing is copying and pasting. And so
Copy and
if you have a
paste.
short version, you're going to have a short version where let's say you can only put 75 characters, have a version for 75 characters. If you apply for a book festival and they say give us 200 words about who you are or 200 words about your book, you already have that. So once you have that document, then
Right.
all you're doing, whatever you apply for, you're just copying and pasting, and that
Right.
makes the process easier and faster. Because listen,
Right.
I last night I said I wish I had a 25th hour in the day. Daylight savings is not helping. I thought that it would, but I still need another hour.
Is right. Exactly.
I haven't
Exactly.
adjusted yet. Still,
Don't give us this time change, and then when you get, by the time you catch up with the time change, that's just how it is. Listen,
it's,
for
it's,
those of
it's,
you who are
it's
listening,
countdown to changing back.
right? Please, for those of you who are listening, go ahead and share this, even if it's in the middle of the interview. Listen, your followers, they will come in, they
Yeah.
will come back to the page. So we want you to go ahead and share this on your page. Make sure
Is,
that
is,
you
there,
get
is
it.
there a way for me to actually stream this to you? Oh, okay. Look at that. This is something new. Oh, you have to log in. I didn't know that. Um, to stream this to my page. Is there?
You could have, but you probably I believe that had to be set up in the beginning. I'm not
Right.
sure.
So
I'm not sure now.
if I share this link that's up
Which
at the top of the screen with that,
Yeah, you can share the link, and if you're on Facebook, you can share it on your Facebook from Swag Her. Just share the interview from Swag Her.
yeah, that's what I'm about. Oh Lord have
Yes.
mercy. I'm about to say
So
that's what I'm about to try to do right now.
yes.
You can
So I
still
have
see
a
me, right?
huh?
You can still see me.
Yes, I can still
Oh,
see
okay,
you.
good. Hmm.
So I have another question. Since becoming the literary lobbyist or
Yes.
publicist, I want you to let us know, what are some of your greatest achievements, like those things that you are just absolutely proud of, the work that you've accomplished or the things that you accomplished. What are some of those greatest achievements?
Oh my God, there's so many. I get to brag about all my babies, all my clients and their books are my babies. So I would have to say recently, and especially since probably she's getting a lot of media coverage, so people may know about her. An author that I work with, her name is Miyasha. And so she was one of my first clients when I started my agency. I tell this story all the time because it just speaks to the integrity. So she was a recent college grad at the age of 24. She submitted her manuscript to Terry Woods Publishing. The book was Secret Society, which eventually Simon and Schuster gave her a book deal for that. But initially she reached out to Terry Woods because it was urban fiction. I thought that she could get a better deal than what Terry was offering. And when I spoke to her, this is a recent college grad. She married her high school sweetheart. And so when you think about a person who has hopes and dreams, signing a deal where after taxes you will only be getting $6,500 is not really a great launch pad to a career. And so I suggested to her that she reach out to someone that she knew in publishing or ask around to see if somebody could help her get a better deal. At the time, I wasn't an agent. I was just an assistant. And so she wound up getting an agent. She wound up getting a 2-book, 6-figure deal at the age of 25 with Simon and Schuster. And it was for Secret Society. And then they wound up doing 4 or 5 other books for her. Now, fast forward 15 years later, that first book, she self-financed and made a movie. And it was featured on Amazon Prime. So she did Secret Society, then she did Secret Society 2 and Secret Society 3. And I look at where she went from being a book author as a student saying, I'm going to submit my book, to getting the deal, to writing books throughout the course of the year, to then turn around and self-financing 3 movies on her own, which after
Wow.
like less than 30 days, the first movie was already in the black, which meant that she put up her own money to make her first movie. She wrote the script and put up her own money.
Wow.
Before the 30 days was out, she was already out of debt.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's amazing.
And
Blessing
the book,
Prophetess Sylvia. I just wanted to greet her. I just saw her come in. Blessings to you. So with a book deal, because I know you gave out the number of 6,500. So I want to know, just
yeah,
being candid, transparent, like what
yeah.
is a great or average? I don't want to say, maybe you could say average, and then also what you would consider a good book deal for
Okay,
someone to sign for, number wise.
okay. So here's the thing. So it depends on, are you looking for a good book deal for braggable rights as far as the amount of money? Are you looking to buy your dream home, put kids through college? Or are you already wealthy and you don't really care about the money? You just want to get your memoir out there. There really is no, most people, obviously, I try to aim, if I'm doing a book deal for somebody, that they would at least get a year's salary. And we're grown. So a year's salary consists of six figures
Right.
to even start the conversation.
Right.
Um, but traditionally, depending on the size of the publisher, because there are small publishing houses that don't give large advances, but they're good business partners. So maybe they may only give you $2,500, $5,000, but you're getting 50% of the book sales. Your royalties are 50% versus 8 or 12%.
Right.
And so the thing is, with traditional publishers, like again, if you are with a HarperCollins, Simon and Schuster, Penguin Random House, whatever the number is that they give you is recoupable. And so what that means is, if they give you, HB, a deal for $150,000 for your first book, you won't get any more money beyond that 150 until they have earned out and gotten their 150 back through
See,
book sales.
right.
And so when people say, oh, I want a big book deal. Oh, you can get a big book deal, but here's the thing. If you don't sell out what they gave you, you probably won't get another. Because the thing is, publishers are able to look up in the database and see, okay, well, she's gotten two book deals. Both of them were for about 150, 175, and she's only earned out 50,000 on one and 25,000 on the other. If somebody else wanted to give you a book deal, it would be for considerably less, or you wouldn't get it because they don't see you as a person who is able to earn out. So you've been
Jeez.
overpaid. You've been overpaid multiple times. So now, as a publisher, do I really want to now come to you with a $200,000 book deal?
Right. Right.
Probably not. And so then you may find yourself in a situation where you'll either go with a smaller publisher because now you just want to get the book out, or you'll wind up self-publishing. And
Yeah.
so that's why it's so important that you ask yourself, why do I want a book deal? Because you're not getting all the money up front anyway.
Right.
The larger the money, it's either going to be 3 installments. You get the first chunk when you, maybe 30% when you first sign, everybody signed the contract. The publisher is then given 30 days in which to process your payment. That payment would go to your literary agent. Your literary agent is going to take out their 15 to 20% industry standard commission and then reissue you the check for the balance. And that is the process throughout the life of money being exchanged, short of your literary agent dying.
Right.
Like that, or short, there being some type of integrity breach where then you as an author have to send a letter to the publisher saying that, because I've had authors have this experience, not with me, but that they've shared, where their agent went rogue and stole their money.
Wow.
Yeah,
See?
but I also realize the case that I'm thinking about, that person was never really a literary agent to begin with. They just
Right.
had relationships with editors and kind of brokered the deal,
Right.
but they weren't under the integrity checks and balances the way traditional agents were.
Right.
And so that's why that's so important. Oh,
Yes.
somebody,
You have to. Yes. So you have to do your research basically. You have
yeah,
to do your research. You have to find out, and like you say, you need to know why. You need to know, you have to be confident sounds to me, you need to be confident as the author in knowing why you're doing what you're doing.
yeah,
And build relationships and do your research in order to
yeah.
get the perfect deal. So I
And
love
then,
that you
and then
said
Heidi, I'll add this. The other thing is, I find when I go to writing conference, writers want an agent so bad. And I'm like, this is a two-way relationship. It's like the woman who wants to be married. Okay, we get so caught up in wanting the man that at a certain point, we don't actually say, well, let me do my checks and balances on him.
right. Right.
Like,
My Lord.
because he may not fit what I want. And so
Right.
I say the same thing with authors when it comes to literary agents. Do your research on the agent, because maybe they don't have experience in your type of books. Maybe they haven't done any book deals in a long time. It's a two-way process. And I always say, to alleviate your anxiety about, are they going to pick me? Do your research and come to the table with questions for them. You know,
Right.
some literary agents are very, for me, when I was a literary agent, I've always been a publicist. Since once I left Terry Woods, I've always been a publicist. And so even when I became an agent, I was still doing book PR for for a different set of clients through my own company. And so when I signed clients to Serendipity, if it came down to me and you, both of us wanting to represent them, I would always share. Well, here's the thing, I'm also a publicist. And every author, every book, whether it's traditionally published or self published, needs promotion. Even Terry McMillan, even Toni Morrison, they have multiple books, but each one of those books still had to get publicity and promotion. And so that would always be the tiebreaker between, oh, should I go with this agent or should I go with Dawn? Well, I can help you get publicity for your book, but also when it's time to have that conversation with the publisher, I can help navigate that, give them ideas, but also share my resources. Because at this point, I represent the author. Of course, I want their book to do well. And so I'm going to open up my publicity Rolodex no matter what, simply
Right.
because they are one of my authors. So for me, it didn't matter if I was your agent, I still would help you with publicity. And if I was your publicist and you wanted your next book to be traditionally published, if it was a book that I could sell, then I would help you get an agent as well, or sell it myself.
Right. I like
Yeah.
that. I like
Yeah.
that because sometimes people feel like they stuck and they have to go a certain route. And as you said, you don't
You have
necessarily.
options.
Yes.
I've always been the type of woman to like to exercise my options.
Right.
Yeah. Because
Right.
that alleviates, when you realize that you have options, you're not stressed out about one choice because you know you have a few.
Right.
And so like I just don't believe in putting all my eggs in one basket, because if somebody walks away with that basket, you have nothing.
Come on. They walk away with their best. Listen, really. So
Yeah.
let our audience know what is going on with you for 2024. What can they look forward to?
Oh,
And also, once you let us know that, well, I'll say that for after that. Let us know what they can look forward to in 2024 from the lobbyists, the literary
okay.
lobbyists.
So let me see. So what do I have going on? Okay, so work-wise, I have an amazing books coming out. So I have a book called, it's a memoir, and it actually comes with a companion journal. And so it's called Black Wild Girl, How a Writer Found Her Superpowers. And the book is written by a vice president at Virginia Tech. Her name is Mena Pratt. And so that book comes out literally next week, April 2nd. And I've been working with Mena for almost 2 years now. She journals, and a lot of us journal. And so that's why I'm so excited about this book, because there's so many people who are journaling right now and have been journaling throughout childhood. She started journaling at the age of 8 and has all of the journals. She's
Wow.
she's in her 50s now. So from age 8, so you think about all that you've gone through: puberty, romance, college. She has 5 higher education degrees. So she has 5 degrees. She's been married. She has 2 children. She's traveled abroad. She plays the piano. She used to be on the professional circuit for tennis. And so her memoir is coming out, Black Wild Girl. And it comes with a companion journal, because she believes that if you're documenting your life, then you get to see your own journey. Like
Mhm.
before you tell it to somebody, you can see when you had highs and lows in your life. And that's empowering, to just see how a person has grown based on the words that you wrote at the time.
Right.
So her memoir has poetry in it. She has songs and photos and excerpts from different books. Nikki Giovanni actually endorsed the book, so that's pretty dope. Another book I have coming out in May is called Evolving While Black, and that's by a woman named Chianti Lomax. Chianti is in the DMV area, and her book is for Black women and just wellness, transformation, how to get back to ourselves. Like, we're always constantly evolving, but we must take care of ourselves first. And she has an opening line in the book where she says, if somebody would have asked her grandmother, about self-care, her grandmother was said, self-care? What are you talking about? Self-care is for white women, rich white women. And that's what her grandmother believed. But
Wow.
we're of a different generation. And unfortunately, there are still women today that
That
believe
feel that believe that.
that believe
We
exactly
think
what her
a lot of
grandmother
us
said.
were raised not to take time and take out time for ourselves.
Yeah,
So, and because of the well-rounded, we are nurturers. We have so much to carry. So, wow, that's good.
yeah.
That book, that's good.
And so that comes out May 14th. And then I have a book coming out with two gentlemen, Eddie Pate and Jonathan Stoltz. And that book is called Daily Practices of Inclusive Leaders. And so they are both leadership entrepreneurs. And this is a diversity, equity, and inclusion book. And they're based on the West Coast. So I'm always working on amazing projects by like people of color, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. But I'm really excited that this is a book. I have a wellness book, the memoir, and then a business book. And these books are all coming out within the next 2 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And also,
Um,
are you writing one of your own?
yeah. Listen, girl, I got me an outline that I've been sitting on for what I probably during the pandemic, I had a conversation with two colleagues at two different publishing companies who asked me about writing a book. And I was like, oh, okay. Like to me, it's such a commitment and a responsibility. I respect the process. Even when people self-publish their book, I've gotten books where I'm like, oh, this isn't written well. But I respect the fact that they had an idea and that they went from point A to point Z and put the book out, even if the quality isn't what I deem necessarily great. It's the fact that they committed to it. And so for me, I do have a book idea and I've been toying around and kind of putting outlines together. And it really just comes down to when I'm ready. It has to be when I'm ready because again, I respect the process. I'm so used to being in the promotional seat that I've been preparing myself. So even interviews like this are preparation for me to become an author because like I shared at the beginning of this interview, you need a platform and that includes me. So
Right.
my platform and everything that I do as the literary lobbyist is going to be useful when I'm
For
ready to
your
put my
book.
book out. Mm-hmm.
Right. Listen, I'm tell you shortly what happened to me. It was a mandate for this book, and I was doing just like you, had the outline. I had started writing, like just like the woman that you spoke of with the memoir. I've been
Nana,
journaling
yeah.
and started writing from since I was a child, because things were happening in my life, and there was a mandate to the point where I got sat down. Okay. I had an accident where it's like the Lord was like, "You gonna write this book," and I literally could
Mhm.
not move for a whole year. I had no other choice but to write the book. So
Wow.
I
Okay.
wrote the book. So I'm doing like some final, changes and shiftings on the end of the book. And yes, that book must come out this year. This year, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it. But I want you
You just made me when you said that you had to sit down and so you had the time. That's making me think of another client that I work with, Tressa Azarel Smallwood. She has a company called Megamind Media. You probably have heard of her. So she now has done over 30 films. But again, she was a school teacher. She was on not even maternity leave. She was put on bed rest 6 months out. And so she was like, okay, what am I doing here? Like 6 months, I'm not working. I can't do anything. So she wrote her first book. She self-published that book. From there, she started a publishing company and then started publishing other authors' books. She grew a catalog of over 160 titles. And then she said, you know what? I now have all of this content by way of all of these books. I want to go to the screen now. And same thing, she put up her own money, put a team together, and started putting out movies. And now she has deals with BET, Tubi, Amazon Prime, and it all because, again, God put her in a situation where it's like, okay, we're going to sit you down for a second.
exactly
What are you going to do at that time when you're sitting down? She wrote a book.
write that book.
She wrote a book. And again, that was over 20 something, years ago. So, don't take lightly that if God had you sit down for a second, now you know the reason why.
Yes, indeed. And I don't
Mhm,
take it lightly at all. So, and then
mhm.
even he's recently brought it back up. So that's why I'm trying to get finished with the listen, because I don't need another set down moment. You hear me?
Right.
I don't need another
As
look.
I think about that, I'm like, "Oh, you know what? Maybe I need to start writing on
I,
Sundays because 'cause I'm like,
I
God,
don't need another
I don't
set
need you to
down
sit
moment.
me down either."
I don't need another set down moment. So let the audience know, where can they reach you, or even get in touch with you as the literary lobbyist, as their
Yeah,
publicist, those that are seeking out. I have added those things, the books
in the
inside of the chat, as well
okay.
as your link of your
Okay, to the
website.
website, yeah.
But
Um,
how can they follow you on social media and things of that
oh, yeah,
nature?
yeah, yeah. So let me actually also include this because I started playing around with TikTok, and I like it, and so I really need to the Lit Lobbyist is my TikTok, and my Instagram is the company name, The Literary Lobbyist. I would love for people to follow me on TikTok as well as Instagram because I want to start doing like those little short teachable moments. So like in 60 seconds or 90 seconds or less, I'll give the definition of a galley or give the definition, tell someone how to go about reaching out to a bookstore. But I want to kind of do like these little sound bites because I know that there's so much information on the internet about publishing a book. But really, things only really make sense when you get a chance to either hear somebody articulate that information or you get to talk to them how you and I are doing now. Because if not, you're going to read 50 million things. You don't know, do I need to do all 50 million? The answer is no.
Right,
But if no one in the industry that has the experience tells you that and says out of these 50 million, you really just need to focus on these five, and you need to start as early as 6 months out.
right,
It's just that simple. And so I'm in a position where I don't want people to be overwhelmed, especially since I work with BIPOC authors. I don't want people to be overwhelmed about the amount of information on the internet about getting a book deal, getting a literary agent, self-publishing. Just talk to somebody.
talk to
Talk
somebody.
to talk to somebody. And look, do your research, but then basically say, you know what? I've looked at 5 articles. 3 of them say the same thing. Okay, and now if you're still not sure, now that's when you book the consultation and say, Dawn, I read these 5 articles. 3 of them say the same thing. Do I really need to do this thing that these articles are saying? And then how do I best go about executing that? And so I
Right,
always tell people, do your research and then come and book a consultation with me so that I can help you make sense of what you already researched.
right,
And
right.
then we
I
can
get
put
that.
you in the driver's seat. And now you have a roadmap so you know exactly. Once people get off a consultation with me, they know exactly what to do next.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, that is excellent. Listen, I've enjoyed this interview. Make sure you
Thank
guys go and
you.
follow her on TikTok as the Lit Lobbyist,
Yes.
as well as on Instagram as the Literary Lobbyist
Yes.
LLC, right?
Yes.
And as well as you can go to, I'm sure that she has her, you're able to book a consultation
Through
from
the
her
website.
her website. So the
Yeah.
website is there. Again, share this video or tag someone that you know that's considering writing a book, that may be an author, a previous author, but maybe their book didn't do what they would like for it to do, and they're
Yeah.
thinking about writing another book, and they want to get involved, or they want to get some tweaks, get some education about what's going on.
So here's the thing. I also say that okay, so let's say you wrote a book last summer, and your sales didn't like
You can
wow you.
reboot
I tell every author that you should be promoting your one book
all the
for
time.
12 months. Before you put out, you need to work with the one book and promote it, because how you promote a book in January is going to look different in the summertime, and then it's going to look different around the holiday time. So if your book comes out in April, you have to go from April to April so that you experience all 12 months, all 4 seasons promoting the book. If that book didn't do well, okay, there's still some things that you can do this summer that you didn't know to do last summer. And
Right,
so even if you don't have to wait and say, oh, well, what publicity tips can I use for my next book? You can use these publicity tips for a book that's 2 years old if you want to.
right. And I've also seen people relaunch the same book. They
Absolutely.
may maybe have
Absolutely.
somebody endorse the book, and it
Hmm.
makes a big difference, or to make some changes to the book makes a big
Yeah,
difference. Go from a paperback to a hard copy,
absolutely.
So Yes, your book is like that
Absolutely.
fingerprint that never
Yeah.
leaves you,
And when
especially
you
your
write something
memoirs.
that's evergreen, like if you write
Right.
on like a memoir,
Hmm.
once the okay, that's your life. You can't undo it. It already happened, and now you've already lived through it. You've already written a book. So again, there's always going to be an opportunity for you to talk about your lived experiences for the rest of your life. So
For the
when
rest.
people write memoirs, they should be promoting that same memoir every single year.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
right. I agree. I
But
definitely agree.
there's wisdom in the pages of memoirs. So that's why I'm like, you could promote the same book every year because there's somebody who has not read your book yet. There's
You're right.
somebody that can benefit from the wisdom on page 75. They just don't know about the book yet. And so that's
Right.
why you need to promote it this year, the next year, the next year, and so forth. Because
Right.
it's going to take a while for you to reach all of the readership that you wrote the book for. And so that's why you got to just stick with it.
Listen, that's why I'm so excited. I want to go on a book tour. I know that may sound old fashioned, but I
No,
want
girl, it's not.
to listen.
Authors are still doing book tours, but the thing is now they're just doing hybrid, where
Right.
some places you go and show up physically, and then some things you do virtually because the
Right.
pandemic now has added that option, which is a great option because I have clients doing book gatherings internationally, like South Africa. And
Right.
so the author is going to South Africa, but the book event itself is virtual. So even though I'm not going, I still get to sit in and participate.
Right.
So
Right.
that virtual component, don't underestimate that. It's basically a hybrid book tour.
Listen, I'm looking forward to it. I've been researching all the places where there are readers, like people who are
I
avid
see your
readers.
smile. I see your excitement. I see your
Yes,
excitement.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited more so, not necessary, just for getting it done. Like that.
Yeah.
Listen, when you've had to have that sit down moment and you
Mhm.
get to get it done. So I'm
That's what I
excited
said.
about
It's
that
getting
part.
it done. Is
Right.
the fact that you actually went from A to Z.
Yes.
Let's just hand clap on that.
Yes. Definitely.
Before you even get to
Definitely.
the editing, it's the fact that you committed. You have 70,000 words or 50 short stories complete.
Right.
That's step one. Just give yourself a hand clap and take a sip of champagne just for getting it out of your head and your heart and
Out of my
onto the
head.
page. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're
So
welcome. Yeah.
listen, you guys go and follow. Go and follow.
Follow me. Follow me.
Yes, yes. Go and follow and be sure to go to our website if you have any questions. Book a consultation.
Yeah.
Sometimes a consultation will give you the answers that you need, and
Consultation
sometimes
can save you hours and hours
right.
of time and thousands of dollars in money.
Thousands of
Yeah.
dollars. Listen,
Oh, yeah.
exactly. Someone who have went through it, know how it goes, and they can help you. So we're getting ready
Exactly.
to end this live, but please share, please share, please share. Tag those authors, those up and coming authors, those of you who follow someone that you may feel like I would love to read a book from them. Go ahead and put them, tag them even after this video is over, even tag
Yeah.
them. And we'll see you again on the next episode of What's Going On.
Thank you so much, KB.